guys, it's Sam, and this is my spoilery discussion on the Netflix Shadow and Bone adaptation. As I said, this video will have spoilers in it for both the books and the show, so if you have not read or watched those things, I will leave my spoiler-free review on the screen. I also do have play-by-play reactions of all of the episodes where I reacted live, so I will link the playlist for that on the screen as well. So if you've watched my reactions, you've gotten most of my spoilery thoughts on most of these things, so I will make kind of that part brief and then talk about how I feel like the future of the show is gonna go. I already talked about the world in my spoiler-free review, so I'm not gonna go into detail there because there's really no spoilery things about the world that I think I need to talk about, but I loved it. I loved all the costume design. I loved how it was shot. I loved all of those things. So let's talk about the characters. So I was actually surprised about how Alina wasn't one of my favorite characters in the show. Alina Starkov as a character remains one of my favorite characters of all time, but in the show, so many other characters sort of overshone her for me and just sort of what I like seeing in TV specifically, that she was not one of my favorites. I still think that her actress did a great job, but there were times that I think in the books, I glossed over a lot of the things I think of people like not liking her. A lot of the things that she did that were annoying in the books, because a lot of people say that Lena Starkov in the books is annoying. I still don't see it. I've read them through twice now. I don't see it. But apparently she's annoying in the books. I found her way more annoying at times in the show. Understandable, you know, she was doing things that were understandable, but I'm still was like, oh, I had much more moments of wanting to shake her in the show than I ever did in the books. I think that's a me thing because most people feel the opposite way. But also, like I said, I was so much more attuned to some of these other characters more so than her that I was surprised, because Alina is, again, one of my favorite characters, so to not be so obsessed with her like I was in the past was a surprise to me. Mal is so much better in the show than he is in the books, and I completely stand by that. I like how much more fleshed out we get with him and his backstory, and showing that he is just like a sweet bean, like the scene at the beginning with the bunny. Like as soon as that happened, I was like, it's over for me. Like, this is a sweet bean who must be protected. I will say it's very funny that Mal has an incredible amount of plot armor because the man does not die. He was near death like 5 times this season, blood dripping from his mouth so many times. And I'm wondering if this is a tie-in to the later parts of the books. Like, are they saying that because of some of the things that we know about him in the books? I'm not gonna go too much into spoilers in case some of you are watching that have just watched the show, you know, to respect that. But is that his plot armor kind of thing a result of some of the things that we know about him later on? Who knows? But it was a little bit alarming that they tried to say he's gonna die so many times, and obviously no, he's not. But the scenes that we have of him interacting with other characters, like the fact that he was basically like a crow at the end, wonderful. I loved it. All of these little things that I never would have wanted. Like, I was never somebody that wanted necessarily the Six of Crows characters to meet the Grisha characters, but now that I've had that happen, I'm like, I love it. It's so wonderful. You also notice, because I just caught myself doing it, it's very hard for me still, even having watched the show, to say Grisha instead of Grisha. I've been saying Grisha for so many years. I know I've said this in other videos about the Grisha trilogy, that I cannot make my mouth say Grisha. It is incredibly difficult, so please don't come for me in the comments if I mess up. The Darkling, really well done. Like I've said in all my reactions, I do not like exactly how much they did try to humanize him in the show. The addition of that healer woman, which a lot of people gave me some pushback on that when I was doing my reaction and being like, well, I don't think he really loved her and blah blah blah. I'm like, we still have this unnecessary fridging of women thing that just it didn't need to be added. I just don't think the whole thing with her had to be added. I think showing that these, you know, the first army was killing all the Grisha and they were constantly being persecuted, I think you could have shown that just fine without having this little side piece of him being like, I care, because I'm like, he cares in a different way. And I think making him too human for the show audience is just a little much. I don't want that. I don't want little woo-woo Darkling. I don't. I want Destroyer of Worlds Darkling. That is who I enjoy. So for me, that was not something that I liked as much. Also, I think this is universally agreed upon. Very angry still about them saying Alexander so early in the show, and it was nothing. And they said it in front of so many people, so it's everyone knew he was Alexander, and I'm like, what? That was such a big payoff in the books, in book 3, of that moment of humanity at the end and everything, that it makes me irritated. It makes me so irritated that they actually drop that in so early and that everyone's calling him Alexander, and everyone, no, that was a special thing for them, and I'm mad about that. But whatever, I'll get over it. As far as the crows, loved all of them. Again, very standout performances. Jesper is my favorite, Jesper and Inej. But Jesper is so much more of a favorite at this point because he wasn't a favorite in the books necessarily. I liked him. He was a good character, but like I didn't love him. Now I'm like, Jesper. So like Jesper and Inej are like my two favorites. Inej was always a favorite. I would say that Inej and Kaz are probably my two favorites from reading the books, closely followed by Nina. And now it's like Jesper, Inej, Nina, with Jesper and Inej being like basically even. So yeah, really enjoyed all of the crows and their dynamics. The banter, all of that stuff was just really well done. And like I said in my review, I think we're getting like almost like a baby version of Kaz. Like he is not yet the mastermind, and I don't think he's supposed to be. I know some people had some complaints. It's like, oh, like, you know, Kaz would have never let someone get the jump on him or whatever. And it's like, he's not that Kaz yet. Like, he's still learning. Like, Six of Crows takes place far after, and these are things like he's learning. So I think we're gonna get more of this like scheming Kaz, next level Kaz than we even have now, and we're gonna see that growth. I highly enjoyed seeing all the different relationship dynamics. I think the Darkling and Alina had really awesome, like, palpable chemistry. I think Mal and Alina had like really sweet connection. I love Nina and Matthias. Like every time they were on screen, I was smiling. They're my favorite couple. I think because Matthias, besides the religiousness, I would legitimately date. Like he's a whole snack. Where the other characters I wouldn't really date them, but like Matthias, without being a witch hunter, please date me. So they were perfect. And even like Kaz and Inej, again, they had their moments. I'm really hoping that they drag that out. I really want them to drag that out. I think we need to see more of their walls, especially his that are up. I want that to be a very dragged out angsty thing. If they give that to us too quickly, I'm gonna be upset. I did expect Baghra was done really well, but I did expect her to be slightly more like curmudgeon-y older feeling than she was, but I think we might even get more of that again, like later seasons. David and Genya were perfect. Genya in general was just like wonderful, perfect. I loved her so much, all of them. And then even the additional characters that we didn't really get to see of a lot or are brand new, like the conductor, for example, was a favorite. I would never have expected to like him so much, and I was really upset when he betrayed them, but I like loved him as a part of the crew. I loved the scene in the train. I loved Milo the goat. Milo the goat was like a true MVP of the whole season. Him and Jesper are like OTP. Like I just loved all of those dynamics. I loved Mal's little friends that like I didn't remember at all from the books. They were a great little addition, like more fleshed out here. All of that was really good. And as far as all of these little interactions that I didn't expect to see, like I said, Mal being a part of the crows, Inej and Zoya's like interactions, I kind of want them to date. Like I really enjoyed their little interactions. Kaz meeting the Darkling, I know that was a big fandom thing that a lot of people wanted to see. I never really expected to want to see it or anything. That was never something that I was like really pulling for, but it's really glad we got to see that. I thought that was really cool. And just like Alina getting to meet all of them, and the moments when like Inej gets to see her and see she's a sun summoner and gets really emotional, when Inej helps her out, when she gives her the knife and Inej is like, I know exactly what I'll name it because we know we're gonna get like a Santa Alina like knife. Like those are all perfect. I hope we get more interactions between them. I don't know if we will, but I'm hoping we do because I really want Inej and Alina to be really good friends. So then I want to talk about my theories loosely for future seasons and what I think how they're gonna kind of go from here. I mentioned this a little bit in my reactions, but I do think that the crows are going to stay slightly separate for next season. I think we're going to get more of them like doing some like Ketterdam type things, and I think we're going to get them breaking Matthias out of prison in season 2. I don't think they're gonna make us wait until the actual heist later on if we get that far, which I think we will eventually, but I think that'll be later seasons. And I think we're gonna get Matthias out of jail sooner because I don't think they would give us that relationship and then make us wait a long time and him stuck in there. So I think it's gonna be a little bit separate, and then I think we're gonna have the like Alina stuff happening sort of separately. I don't know, I could be wrong. They could bring them back in. I just don't feel like they would because it would feel kind of repetitive. So I think they're gonna be kind of separate now that we've had these characters introduced and they do sort of overlap a bit. So I think there's gonna be something storyline wise that'll overlap slightly, but not as much as like them interacting, because we're gonna have much more of the stuff with Nikolai next season. So I think the fun and innovativeness that the crows add to the story in Ravka in this season, we're going to get much more of that with Nikolai. I have also seen the actor that they think is going to be playing Nikolai, and I completely agree with that casting choice if he is in fact Nikolai. So yeah, I think we're going to get Nikolai stuff. I was a little sad because I was kind of hoping that they would do like a Nikolai teaser at the end, but why would they? Like, the show isn't, like, no one would know who that is. It would just be for book fans. But I was very okay with them showing, like, the Darkling coming out of the fold with his shadow creatures. Awesome. So I'm very excited to see Nikolai next season. I think that's going to be all of that separately. Kind of following some of the things with the books. You know, I don't really have a ton of theories because I'm not somebody that completely sits here and theorizes, because I just ruin things for myself if I like hype up my own theories too much, you know what I mean? I feel like that happens a lot in fandom. So that's what I'm thinking. I think we're gonna have the like blinded Bagra stuff and Alina like trying really hard getting the other amplifier, and I cannot wait for the scene at the end of book 2. That is gonna be so boss, and they better keep it like almost exactly the same. Because that's one of the scenes that I really want to see, like perfectly, like her like trying to take him down. I just really enjoyed their dynamic throughout, which I know I said in my reactions, but of like she's the only one who's his equal, she's the only one who stands up to him, she's the only one who can take him down. So I am really hoping that that scene stays pretty similar. So I think that is it for all of my spoilery thoughts, but I'm sure I'm forgetting some stuff because I'm just really overwhelmed by Shadow and Bone stuff, and I'm actually a little bit ready for a break. I'm not gonna lie. I would have much preferred it to be like week to week, spread out, less intense, everything dropping at once, but I'm very happy about the show, and I'm very excited for future seasons, which I'm pretty convinced that we're going to get because it seems to be doing really well. But anything I've forgotten, comment below, let me know your thoughts on the show, on the where it's going to go in future seasons, all of your theories and things like that, and ask me any questions that you feel like I might have forgotten. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye.